Well, I'm sitting here in a nice little shady spot on the north slope of Nimbus Knob, and I always like to stop here because I look out across the city and I see downtown over here. I see the valley just full of industry and business. I see the freeway, and I see over my shoulder here, I see where the railroad came down the valley 100 years ago. And I see a bunch of white structures that they actually contain fuel. They contain different petroleum products. Some of them might be used for asphalt. Some of them have been used at one time to refill the train engines that came through with the 3 different railroads that came through Spokane. But the most important thing I see is why Spokane and the Spokane Valley even exist as cities. The railroads were important. That communication of goods back and forth across the nation was important. The modern day freeways are important to transport people on their cars and freight in the big semi-truck. I see big grain towers back there that maybe were associated with flour mills, which was important, but not as important as that patch of blue water down there. Now, the first time I saw that, I thought, wow, I didn't know that Spokane had any little lake. I don't see any streams or anything. What's a lake doing there? Then I did a little research, and I realized that is not the surface of a lake. That's the exposed. All the land has been removed from above it for building materials, and that is Spokane Rastrum Prairie Aquifer that flows from a Lake Ponderay all the way down through here, but it flows underground. It flows through a layer of rock that was laid down by the Great Ice Age floods. As the floods passed through and began to slow down, rocks of different sizes began to fall out of the water and accumulate in the bottom of the valley. First, the really big stuff fell out, and as the power of the water slowed down, more different sizes fell out until a group of the sizes about, the size of a baseball were laid down in a layer anywhere from 50 to 125 feet thick, and then they were covered up by the sand and the soil and the silt and the clay, the finer things that were the last things to drop out. In the history of Spokane, people used to get their water out of the river. They also used to throw their garbage in the river. Their human waste used to go into the river. As the city grew, more and more people got sick. Well, around the end of the 19th, beginning of the 20th century, farmers out in the valley had noticed that their wells were always consistently full of water. And they looked down, and sometimes they looked down at their wells, and that water seemed like it was not moving up and down, but it was moving sideways. And what they had done is they had sunk their wells down into this aquifer, this underground river. The city of Spokane dug a huge well around 1910 by hand, 100 and some feet deep, 30 to 60 feet wide, all hand dug, lined with brick, and that became their first well for potable, clean, safe water in Spokane. So a city like Spokane needed 3 things. It needed a river for its power, to harness its power to cut trees and to grind wheat into flour. It needed the flour mills. It needed the railroad. And it needed a good source of safe water to drink. The aquifer provides all of Greater Spokane, Spokane Valley with that water that comes out of our taps every day that we use for many, many purposes other than drinking. It reminds me how important it is that we take care of the health of that aquifer, because it's only maybe 50 or 60 feet in this place below our feet. So when you take that drink of water, you take that shower, you think of all that safe, fresh water in your home here, know that you may not have ever had the chance to live here except for that underground aquifer that flows right down the heart of the Spokane Valley.